Today I'm going to be making a really delicious chocolate bar. I have some dark chocolate here. This is 72% cocoa. I have some little toffee pieces. These are little broken up bits of toffee. This is a hard candy. And some fleur de sel, which is an organic flour sea salt. And our last thing, we're going to need a chocolate mold. This mold is a professional model. However, you can use a silicone mold or even little paper molds. So let's get on with the recipe. And for those interested, each one of these little chocolate bars hold 100 grams of chocolate each. So what I have here is tempered dark chocolate. And it's very important to have this tempered. And I do have a video on how to temper chocolate. If you don't temper it, the chocolate will melt very quickly in your hands. So if you do have the time, temper your chocolate and you'll have a much better product. You're going to get a nice chocolate bar that really snaps and is really nice. So I'm just going to start filling up my mold a little bit here. And I tempered this chocolate just before I started the video. However, you can actually see that this chocolate is tempered so well that it's actually starting to thicken up on me. So I need to get this moving. If you do a really good job with tempering of your chocolate, if you take some and put it on a little piece of paper, it should start becoming hard within 3 minutes. And then I'm just going to tap this and get it into the corners. It's perfect. I'm going to grab my little toffee pieces, and in case you're wondering, these are little score bits. You can buy these in a bag at different grocery stores and also in bulk places. So these are a hard candy toffee. Tastes like toffee caramel. So it's a hard candy, so you're going to have a nice little crunch. Try to get this nice and even. And that looks good. And then I have my fleur de sel, and I'm just going to take a little bit of that and just sprinkle that. All over. Make sure you get it nice and even. That's good. And then another coating of chocolate. I'm just going to start getting this over the top. And then I'm going to take it, and then I'm going to tap and just get it all even. And now I'm going to pop this into the fridge for about 10 minutes. So I just brought this out of the fridge. It's been in there about 10 minutes. If I give it a little shake, I can actually tell that I did a really good job at tempering because the chocolate bar is already released from the mold. I'll just very gently flip this over, and there's our beautiful chocolate bar. Alright, so let's break into this, and I want to show you what a nice crack we get with our beautiful tempered chocolate. Listen to this. You hear that snap? That's exactly what you're looking for. Beautiful. So a little closer up just to show you. You can see our beautiful little score pieces, and also we have our beautiful fleur de sel in there. A really nice chocolate bar. Really simple to make and very inexpensive at home. A chocolate bar like this in a good quality store, you're talking about $5 for 100 grams. So very inexpensive to make at home. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I do appreciate that. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. some brown sugar, and your favorite bacon. And I'm using a maple smoked bacon today. So let's get on with the process. So I've taken out 4 beautiful strips of my maple smoked bacon and we are ready to go. So I'm going to grab my knife here and I'm going to cut this into thirds. That's our first step. And I've got myself a cookie tray here lined with parchment paper just to catch the drippings from our beautiful bacon. And then we're just going to take our bacon and start getting the strips onto the rack. So just space them out nicely. And that's good. Okay, we've got that all nicely laid out. Now we're going to grab our brown sugar. And you just want to make sure that it's broken up enough, so if you have any clumps, just get in there with your fingers and just break them down. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here, I just want to get some of this onto each slice. So this is the candied part. So when this hits the oven, this is going to caramelize on top of that bacon. And I do have my oven set to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to bake this the first time for 10 minutes, then we're going to bring them out and we're going to flip them over and we're going to apply another layer of brown sugar on the other side and bake for another 10 minutes. So a total of 20 minutes bake time. Make sure that each piece of bacon gets a little bit of love. And that looks pretty good. So into my oven for the first time for 10 minutes. So I'm going to do that and then I'll come back. Okay, there we go. Those just came out of the oven. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some little tongs here and just flip all of my bacon over. And you can see the difference in the color. The caramelization that's happened on the other side. That's good. And then we'll grab our brown sugar again, and now we'll just sprinkle that one more time on this side. So we do want to get a nice flavoring caramelization going on both sides of our beautiful bacon. And that bacon smells so good. Everything goes better with bacon. That looks pretty good. And just remember, when you lift up your pan, that's extremely hot, so make sure you have an oven glove on. And now back into the oven for another 10 minutes. And here we are again. So that was another 10 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So they have been baked on both sides. So at this point, you just want to give them a little tap just to get any of the extra fat that is on them. Just a little tap, a little bit will drip off. And then what we're going to want to do, is let these completely cool, because then we're going to be dipping them into our beautiful dark chocolate. So now these need to sit for quite some time. So I'm going to let these completely cool, then we'll come back and we'll do our dipping into our beautiful dark chocolate. Okay, so my bacon is completely cool right now. I've cleaned up my work area, which is always a really good thing to do when you're moving on to different steps, and we are ready to go. Now, to make this really, really simple, I'm going to take my dark chocolate, which I have melted down, and I'm going to put it into a little squeeze bottle just to make this process a lot easier. Okay, so I've put all of my beautiful dark chocolate into my little squeeze bottle and we are ready to go. I'm just going to put a little bit down. I do want a little bit on the bottom of our bacon. You can see that this gives you nice control. And you can grab a piece of your bacon and just place it right in there. That's good. Take a little bit more chocolate and get it on the top. And you can completely cover this, or you can leave a little bit showing like that so that you have a little bit of a handle to pick it up with. So we'll do another one. Now you could just take your bacon and dip it right into a large bowl of chocolate. However, now you're going to be mixing bacon with your chocolate, and if you've got a really large bowl of chocolate and you've only got this much bacon, you're going to have a lot of chocolate left over that you've dunked bacon into, and that's not really a good thing. But you can do it that way if you wish. So let's try another one without doing the bottom. So we'll just get that on there like that, and we'll just go over one side. I'll just show you the difference. You might like it better this way, because this way there might be a little bit too much chocolate. It depends on how much chocolate you like. Let's try it like that. I'll do another one like that. So I'm going to go back to the other way. I'm going to get a little bit on the bottom as well. And we'll get our bacon down. And then a little bit on the top. And if you've never tried this, it is really, really good. And I'm being really generous with the chocolate. You can go a little bit lighter on the chocolate if you wish. That looks amazing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish all of these off and then I'll come back in a minute. So I've finished off the last ones and they're all ready to go. So at this point I can just let them sit here on my table and let the chocolate set up. Or if I'm in a rush, I could take them and just put them into the fridge for about 10 minutes and they're going to harden up and they're going to be really, really beautiful. I'm just going to let them sit here because I'm not in a rush. This is really nice chocolate. It's going to set up really, really well. And then we'll come back and I'll show you what they look like, you know, when the chocolate has actually set. And I'll show you how nicely they come off of our parchment paper. And just before I go, if you don't want to do this technique that you saw me do here, melt your chocolate into a little bowl like this and then grab each piece by the end and then you can dip it in and tip your bowl at an angle so that you get more chocolate sitting in the bottom of the bowl. Dip each piece of bacon in and then place it down and you're good to go. So we're going to let these set up and I'll be back in a little while. Now that my chocolate has nicely set up, we can just get in there and remove these. And they look really, really good. I'll see if I can lift it off without the spatula. There we go. And you can see how nice that parchment really helps out. And there we have it. Dark chocolate, candied bacon. A really, really fun one to make. Make a whole pile of these for a party, and I guarantee you they're going to all disappear. So if you're not going to eat these right away, just make sure to store them in the fridge. I would just take a little bit of plastic wrap and place it over them or put it into an airtight container. I wouldn't leave these around for more than 2 days. You want to eat them up, you know, as they're fresh, like this. So that looks really good. Really, really fun one to do. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. I have 200 grams of dark chocolate. This is 72% cocoa, 120 grams of salted butter, and also 125 milliliters of heavy cream. This is whipping cream. This is 35% cream. So we're going to take these three ingredients and we're going to make a beautiful dark chocolate ganache with our beautiful butter. And for those of us not using grams, this is a half a cup of whipping cream, a half a cup of salted butter, and about 1.5 cups of dark chocolate. So I've just taken the chocolate from the bowl and just poured it into a 1.5 cups just to show you it this way. So let's get on with the recipe. So making ganache is really simple. I have a little portable stove here with a little bit of simmering water. I'm going to place a glass bowl on there. I'll get in all of my chocolate. and my butter. And then our heavy cream. And that's 35% cream, that's whipping cream. And all I want to do now is let a little bit of heat get into the bowl. It's going to slowly and gently melt that whole mixture together. So at this point I'm just going to let this start melting up, and then I'll come back when it's almost melted all the way through. So this has been going for maybe 3 minutes or so, and everything is starting to really come together. And I can just grab a little whisk and just slowly incorporate some of the ingredients. And this looks really nice. So we'll let that go a little bit longer, and I'll be back. This is a couple minutes later, and you can see everything has really come together really nicely. And you can see how liquidy this is right now, but as this cools down, it will get rather thick. And if you place this into the fridge, it will actually become so thick that you can actually scoop it. So I'll remove that from our hot water bath. Turn my element off. So at this point you can see how liquidy this is. It's very thin, and you're wondering, how am I ever going to pour this over a cake? Well, I'm going to pop this into the fridge. It's going to thicken up, and I'll come back a little later on and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is about an hour later. You can see how nice this is. This is perfect right now to pour over a cake, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using this in another video. If you want to see that video, it's a chocolate mud cake, and I'm going to be covering the cake with this exact ganache. So I'm going to finish the video here. If you want to see that chocolate mud cake, there's a link at the end of this video and also in the description box. So that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. % dairy-free, so we're going to do that today. Because today's recipe is a dairy-free recipe, I thought it would be good to show what I'm actually using for our ingredients. For my recipe, we're going to need 4 cups of icing sugar. This is also called confectioner sugar or powdered sugar. 3 different names, but it's all the same sugar. So 4 cups of icing sugar, 1 cup of vegetable shortening, 2 tablespoons of almond milk, and our last ingredient, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And that is optional. If you don't like vanilla, you do not have to put it into my recipe. So just a quick note about the products that I'm using. This here is Crisco shortening. This is 100% vegetable. And our last ingredient, our almond milk, is made by Blue Diamond. Not only is it dairy-free, it's also gluten-free. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For my first step, I'm going to get all of my vegetable shortening into our bowl. So I'm using Crisco today, but you can use any brand that you have handy. And this is 100% vegetable. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to grab my mixer, and I just want to cream this up a little bit. You can see how soft this is. That's good. And then I'm going to add in my vanilla and just mix that in. Okay, once that's creamed up, we are ready to add our powdered sugar. When making a frosting, you always want to sift your sugar in. So I've got a sieve here. I'm going to start sifting all of this in. So this is 4 cups of sugar, sifted all in before our next step. And you can see why we want to sift. Because we have all of these little clumps that would be in our frosting, and we don't want that. At this point, you can just take your fingers and push that through. That'll break it all down. There we go, perfect. Grab our mixer one more time. we're just going to slowly start incorporating this. I'm using speed number 1. We do not want to have a big dust cloud having all of our sugar spraying all over the place. And then I have the almond milk. And I'm just going to get all of that in there. Let's keep mixing. You don't want to start using your mixer on a higher speed until most of this is incorporated. Otherwise you will have dust. You can see all of a sudden it's really starting to come together. So let's look at this. So you can see right now, if I take it, it is very, very thick. And this here would be really good for piping. You can see how thick it is. So let's say I want to make this a little bit thinner. I'm going to add in a little bit more liquid. So I've got a tablespoon here. This is 15 milliliters. I'm just going to add a little bit more almond milk. Okay, so I've got that amount. And I'll just get about 3/4 of it in there. Grab our mixer one more time and mix this in. And you can see just that little bit of moisture or liquid that we added to this frosting. You can see how much this has actually changed right away. So let's look at it again. And you can see that it's getting much more soft. So that little bit extra, I'm just going to pour that right in. So that makes an extra 1 tablespoon or 15 milliliters. And let's mix that in. So I do have my mixer going pretty fast. I want to incorporate a lot of air. Okay, now let's see how this is now. And now you can see it is much fluffier. And you're not going to want to put more than that, because otherwise this is going to start turning into a very, very non-firm kind of frosting. But look at this, how nice this is. This is really, really nice now. If you want to frost a cake or put it inside a cake as well, or cupcakes. And there we have it. So a really, really simple one today. So you can see that when you are making a frosting, when you're adding your liquid, you want to start out with that 2 tablespoons and then slowly add to it. If you add too much liquid from the beginning, what's going to happen is you're going to have something that could be too liquidy, and then you're going to have to start adding more powdered sugar to it. So adding less liquid at the beginning is a better way to go. I guess what I'll do now is I'm just going to put this into a piping bag, and I'll just show you what it looks like when we pipe it out. I just want to show you how firm this is. So I've got a disposable Houten piping bag here. I'm just going to put a little bit of our frosting into the bag. Let's get some of this in here. So this frosting, 100% dairy-free. Okay. You always want to squish right down so that you can see it appearing, just like that. So I'll get a little plate and I'll pipe some out for you. And there we have it. Really, really nice. And just for fun, let's put a little chocolate decoration on the top. There we go. And for the last part of our video, I've just zoomed in a little bit more just so that you can see the frosting a little bit closer up. So there we have it, my 100% dairy-free vanilla frosting. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. You're going to need some white mushrooms, a half a cup of all-purpose flour, some Italian breadcrumbs, a half a cup of water, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and our last ingredient, 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is make our wet batter. So in a little bowl, I'm going to add in all of our flour, our paprika, our cayenne pepper, our salt, our cornstarch, and our baking powder. So I want to get all of our dry ingredients into our bowl first, and I'm just going to whisk those together just before we add our water. So just make sure that's well combined. That looks good. And then just add our water. And that's it for our really simple batter. I'm just going to slowly get all of this together. And you can see it becoming thick because we do want it to stick to our mushrooms. So just mix it up well. Okay, that's perfect. And now we'll move on to our mushrooms. We don't want to actually make our mushrooms wet, so I'm just going to take a damp cloth and I just want to clean off any of the dirt that's on there. So you just want to do that. So clean off as many as you think you're going to use for the recipe. So I'm going to do a few of these and I'll be back in a second. Okay, for this recipe I think that's as many as I need to do. And then we'll cut them. So now I'm just going to cut these. And depending on the size of your mushroom, it's really up to personal preference how large you want to leave them. If that's too large, you can just quarter it. Those are nice little sizes. I'll leave one like that. So you just want to cut these up. So I've quartered a few and halved a few. That's good. I'm just going to get these into a bowl. So now I'm going to set up my breading station. We'll bread our mushrooms and then we're ready to deep fry. So we've got our wet batter here, and I'm just going to throw a few of these in. You want to have a little bit of room to move around, so don't throw too many in, that's good. We've got our Italian breadcrumbs. And I have a little tray here that we're going to set those on once we bread them. I just move things around so that you could see a little bit better. I want to make sure that you see the process correctly. So we've got our nice mushrooms here in our batter. Very, very spicy batter. And that addition of cornstarch in there is going to make these really nice and crispy. So we'll just get out our first one. Just give it a little tap. And then right into the breadcrumbs. And then just give it a little, any which way, whatever technique you like, grab them, spread them over, little shake. Just make sure it's completely coated. That's good. And then I'll just remove it and place it on our tray. And I'll do another one. And what's good about this, you can do these hours before a party and then just bring them out when you're ready to go. And then all you have to do is deep fry them. So just cover them up. You can do 2 at a time if you wish. That's good. And there we have it. I'll do one more Let's get a nice big one here. A half. We'll pop that in there. And if you use a large bowl, you can do many more at a time. Make sure it's nicely coated. So just don't rush and have fun. And that looks good. So here we are at our last one in the bowl, and I'll just show you a different way to do it if you don't want to use your fingers. So just pop it in there, and then just use a fork and just flick it around. It's a good way to do it as well. Make sure it's nicely coated. And then just pull it out. And there we have it. I'm going to set up my hot oil and I'll be back in a second. I have my vegetable oil ready to go, and it's at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I don't want it any hotter than that, otherwise my mushrooms will burn before they're actually cooked through properly. And one thing that's really important, do not deep fry these over 2 minutes. If you do, the mushroom inside will actually become mushy. So I'm going to aim for about 1.5 minutes in my oil. So I'm just going to get these on here. You can see how easily they just lift right off. So I guess I'll just do, I could do, try like that. We'll just get those in there. We'll just let those go. I'm going to let these go 1.5 minutes and then I'll come back. So that there is 1 minute and 30. I'm just going to take a look at them, and right away I can see that they're perfect. So I'll just drain them off. I'm just going to turn my heat off here because I don't want my oil getting too hot. And then I'll put them down here. So just for a second, I'm going to zoom in just to show you before they went into the hot oil and after. So here are the ones that we just brought out of our deep fryer. 1.5 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And here are the ones that are breaded that have not gone in yet. And these are Italian breadcrumbs on here that you're seeing. So I just wanted to show you a quick look of what they look like close up before they go in and then after. So I've got those 3 other ones. What I'm going to do, I'm going to batter some more just so that we have quite a few more, and then we'll come back and I'll show you those, and then we'll cut into a couple of these to show you what they look like inside. So I'm back. I've done quite a few more. Oh, look at those. Those look really good. So we're going to zoom in on these, and I'll cut into a couple of them to show you what those are like. But just for fun, what I thought I would do is show you what these look like without the Italian breadcrumbs. So I've got a few here, and I'm just going to put them right into our batter. And instead of putting them into the breadcrumbs, we're going to put them directly into the fryer like this, just to show you the different texture. So I'll get these around. I'll just get a couple of these in here. Just for fun. We'll get those in. I always like to have a little timer on the side just to know how long they've been in there exactly. We'll just let those keep going. So when these are done, I'll come back, we'll zoom in, and we'll finish off the video. Okay, so we're coming up to our 1.5 minutes now, and those look pretty good. I'll just drain them off, turn my oil right off, and you can see a much different texture. I'll just get those on there. So I'm going to clean up, and then I'm going to come back and we'll finish off. So here we have our really nice deep fried mushrooms, and these are really, really spicy. I just want to get to that one. There is a full one I tried out for a test, so I didn't cut that one at all. We'll just load all of these into our basket, and then we're going to cut into a couple of them. So you can see the difference between the breaded one and these are the ones that were not breaded. Not nearly as nice. I'll just cut into one of those. Well, you can see, it's still very nice inside. Really, really good. Yum. And then we'll cut into these, and those are very spicy. Hear that nice little crunch. And there we have it inside. What I have here, in case you're wondering, is a homemade Cajun dipping sauce. Really, really simple. If you want to see a video on that, you can click a link underneath my video in the description box and I'll show you how to make that. And that's very spicy as well. But a great dipping sauce to go with these deep fried mushrooms. Really, really nice. A really nice crunch. So there we have it. Another really fun recipe for you to try out at home. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. Oh, that's really good. This is 72% cocoa, 120 grams of salted butter, and also 125 milliliters of heavy cream. This is whipping cream. This is 35% cream. So we're going to take these three ingredients and we're going to make a beautiful dark chocolate ganache with our beautiful butter. And for those of us not using grams, this is a half a cup of whipping cream, a half a cup of salted butter, and about 1.5 cups of dark chocolate. So I've just taken the chocolate from the bowl and just poured it into a 1.5 cups just to show you it this way. So let's get on with the recipe. So making ganache is really simple. I have a little portable stove here with a little bit of simmering water. I'm going to place a glass bowl on there. I'll get in all of my chocolate. And my butter. And then our heavy cream. And that's 35% cream, that's whipping cream. And all I want to do now is let a little bit of heat get into the bowl. It's going to slowly and gently melt that whole mixture together. So at this point I'm just going to let this start melting up and then I'll come back when it's almost melted all the way through. So this has been going for maybe 3 minutes or so, and everything is starting to really come together. And I can just grab a little whisk and just slowly incorporate some of the ingredients. And this looks really nice. So we'll let that go a little bit longer and I'll be back. This is a couple minutes later and you can see everything has really come together really nicely. And you can see how liquidy this is right now, but as this cools down, it will get rather thick. And if you place this into the fridge, it will actually become so thick that you can actually scoop it. So I'll remove that from our hot water bath. Turn my element off. So at this point you can see how liquidy this is. It's very thin and you're wondering, how am I ever going to pour this over a cake? Well, I'm going to pop this into the fridge. It's going to thicken up and I'll come back a little later on and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is about an hour later. You can see how nice this is. This is perfect right now to pour over a cake, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be using this in another video. If you want to see that video, it's a chocolate mud cake and I'm going to be covering the cake with this exact ganache. So I'm going to finish the video here. If you want to see that chocolate mud cake, there's a link at the end of this video and also in the description box. So that's it for today, and I'll see you next time.